Hey, my name's Connor, and in this video, I'm gonna walk you through how to run better meetings and give you a framework that you can show others at your company. For better or for worse, we need meetings, but there's a way to make them more efficient and effective. So let me introduce you to one of the best people to talk about meetings with, Lee Pichette.
So my name is Lee Pichette, and I'm Senior Vice President of Strategy and Corp Dev here at Predictive Index. There's one stat that's commonly shared, which is the average employee wastes 31 hours a month in unproductive meetings. That's almost a full work week a month. So when I started to look at that, I said, hey, not only is it making companies less productive, but it's also making employees less happy. So that was years ago, and I actually tried to start a company around this. But when someone at PI said, hey, we could do better with meetings, I was kind of volunteered to head up that solution knowing that background.
Lee started a company called Meeting Habits just to fix this problem, and he cracked the code. It turns out the secret to improving meetings is just to focus on three things: better, smaller, shorter.
And it's specifically in that order for a reason. You can't have a shorter meeting if you don't have good meetings. You can't have smaller meetings if you don't have good meetings.
So let's focus on better first. There's really one theme to talk about to make meetings good.
It's all about respecting people's time and helping them understand how they can contribute by being clear why we're there.
That's Kirk Arnold, senior lecturer at MIT, who's also on lots of different company boards. So she's been in just a couple of bad meetings.
Literally hundreds of thousands of meetings, I would say. At 40 years in tech, I think I'm, yeah.
Anyway, Kirk says the best habits you can add to make your meetings better actually end up bookending the meeting.
To open the meeting with a very clear goal. Not to be confused with an agenda, because we all think we get an agenda out there. It's gonna sort of set the expectation. I think starting with a goal that says this is what we are committed to doing in this meeting. Right? And letting people kind of feedback on that. Now, that's not what I thought we were doing. I came prepared to discuss, not to decide or whatever. Spend a few minutes, set the goal.
Start with a goal. What problem are we trying to solve? And at the end?
At the end of the meeting, 100% of the time, there should be an action plan. What are we going to do about what we just did? And that makes people, first of all, get clear on what they're accountable for, but second of all, make feel like, hey, geez, I got something done. This was not just a journey through listening to my colleague talk about their opinion.
I'm sure we've all been through that journey. So to make your meetings better, talk about what you're trying to solve at the beginning and next steps to get there at the end. Easy enough. Oh, and one last thing.
And then are you taking care of your remote employees, which can be a real pain when you have about 15% of your workforce like we have that is remote.
One thing we actually do for remote employees is allow them to offer their answer to a question before anyone else in the room. It just makes sure that they're feeling heard before everyone physically there rushes forward with their thoughts. Okay, so that's better. Now let's talk about making meetings smaller. Turns out this second item just comes down to something very simple: notes.
If people know that after an optional meeting, notes will be shared, they'll take advantage of that opportunity to be optional and actually not attend. But if they know there's no way to get that debrief, well, then they feel like they have to be there to get the information.
When I heard this, I was a little resistant. I just didn't think I could both run a meeting and make sure I'm taking useful notes. But Lee told me I was thinking about this wrong.
So you just have to ask, who's going to take notes, right? And then that person should really focus more on the key takeaways. If you have a transcript of a meeting, that's not helpful. But if you make sure you capture the key takeaways, then other people in the room can say, hey, can you make sure you capture that? And all of a sudden, it's not one person's notes, it's everyone's notes. The key is that you're capturing the most important things without being lost in a sea of every discussion point.
Okay, nice. So smaller comes down to taking notes so that optional attendees don't feel pressure to come. But what about shorter meetings?
So you may have met companies where it's just common for everyone to run 5 minutes late, and the next meeting is waiting at the door, right? Well, it's pretty easy to say that's not cool here. We just don't do that, right?
Easier said than done to implement this kind of culture, but it helps to codify it. So here's just something we use called the 25-55 rule. The rules are simple.
A meeting has to end either at 25 minutes past or 55 minutes past, so the next meeting has time to set up. So that's, that better, smaller, shorter framework really helped because we were able to have some language around, what we do to try to make our lives better, and it's really for every individual employee to have a better workday.
So we've gone over a lot, but let's just sum it up really quick. To have better meetings, you have to create a problem for everyone to focus on, and then recap next steps after the meeting is over so you don't lose momentum. Next, smaller meetings really come from taking notes, which helps optional attendees not feel like they're missing out by not attending. And last but not least, shorter meetings come from the 25-55 rule. It gives people some wiggle room to get to their next meeting and puts more emphasis on starting on time. And again, all of this boils down to expectations.
Because you set up a expectation that we're here to do something and that we're taking time from folks and we're going to respect that time and we're going to get something done.
I've got one more bonus tip from Lee for you leaders trying to roll this out at your company. Try only tackling one of these things a month until you've gone through them all.
One habit at a time, right? If you want to start eating better, change one part of your diet. If you want to start exercising, take one step towards a better, healthy lifestyle. So what we did at PI was we focused first on better meetings. Once we felt that was under control, we focused on smaller meetings, and then once that was under control, we went to shorter.
So roll these out one by one monthly, and make sure to hang these habits up in your meeting room so people can see them. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below about which habit you're most excited to implement, or to just, let us know that you appreciate this kind of video. Also, subscribe. We're going to do so many more of these kinds of videos, and you won't want to miss them. Good luck.